Hello, everyone, and welcome to Treasured. This is a channel that is meant to inspire, encourage, and empower women around the world. My name is Glory, and welcome back. Today, we are looking at how to be a virtuous woman instead of a perfect one. And we have already dealt with part 1 and 2. And part 1, we looked at how a woman is valuable. And part 2, we talked about how how you can be trusted. We talked about trust. And part 3 today, we have a very beautiful couple that is joining us today. And for our segment today, we're going to be talking about, they are going to join me to talk about verse 12. We've dealt with verse 10 and 11. I have Mr. and Mrs. Moots here, and that's Arlene and Matt Moots. They've been, friends of mine for a very long time, and I know them to be people of principle. So they're very principled people and also godly people as well. And so I have invited them, tonight to talk to our viewers, what they think about being a virtuous woman instead of a perfect one. And today we're going to be talking to, Arlene is going to give us her perspective, what she thinks about it, from a woman's perspective, while her husband, Matt, will be telling us about what he thinks from a man's perspective. And we are very happy to have them on board tonight to, talk to us. And welcome on board, Arlene and Matt.
Hi.
Hi.
So, yeah, can you please tell us, we're talking about a virtuous woman, how to be a virtuous woman instead of a perfect one. And what do you understand, by verse 12, when it says that she would do him good and not evil all the days of her life? So, Arlene, go ahead, you take it away.
Okay. Yeah. Regarding the verse of Proverbs 31, verse 12, which is she will render him good and not evil all the days of her life. So this talks about the woman that is as women. It talks about, for me, my perspective about this particular verse is that, accepting your role as a woman, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister, and as a friend in this world, and doing your mission, fulfilling God's will for us here on earth. And, and also at the same time, for me as a wife, making my husband proud of me by living by example. Not just as a wife to him, but as a mom to my beautiful daughter Izzy, and also living by example to my parents and my siblings. And there are principles in life that we all establish, or we all try to follow as we go along in life. But these principles, it's either we add to them or we make them better as we go along in life also. It's like, when I got married, my principles changed. Before I was so career driven, maintaining righteousness and being career driven. But when I got married, my family came in first. So, a lot of the principles I've been practicing in my life is, number one is, trying to maintain a good relationship with God. That is, praying daily and, practicing good deeds, helping others, being a good wife, being a good mom, helping out my parents whenever they need help, helping out a friend or friends when they need help, and being there for everybody, for everybody that needs my help. And another principle that I live by with is, being faithful to your husband and being faithful to your family and to your friends, and most of all, being faithful to God, and also being contented in what you have. And when you're contented with what you have, happiness, follows. So I think it's important in life that we are happy with what we have, with the family that we have. So I guess Matt can elaborate more on that, like cite examples about things. But one very good example that I could cite is, when a friend of mine lost her house like 2 years ago. My husband and I did talk to my husband about offering for her and for her family to stay with us until they can get back on their feet again. So, and it was the most, the most beautiful feeling of all, knowing that you could be there for your friend when she needed help, because even if she has family members that lives here in California, not everybody can accommodate them to have the extra room in their house. And we do have the extra room in our house. So we made ourselves available in helping out this friend of ours. And, until now, we're still very, very good friends. And they're just happy that we were able to help them out. So it's helping others, not even thinking twice in helping others. I think that's important.
Awesome. So I think based on what you're saying, you kind of hit on a few things that I would like to elaborate on. You talked about when you got married, it's like your priority changed. And then it became, your like family first, for you, which is very important. And then you mentioned, about being faithful, as well. And that's also, very important part of verse 12, when it says that, she does him good and all the days of her life. And also, you also talked about for us to be, happy with what we have, and also to show gratitude about that. And you said also for us to, be happy and also good deeds, as well. So just, to recap on a nutshell, what you're telling us, what verse 12, is saying. And I believe, this has, how has all of this, like, pretty much, helped you, in your marriage, your career, like, tell other women how these qualities and these attributes, in your character, how it has helped, you to succeed, as a woman.
I think, if you embody all these principles that I just said, and if you live by example, living by it every day of your life, trying to practice as much as you could about these principles that you live by, I think it helps you, no matter how difficult problems come by, if you have these principles and if you have great faith in God, and if you're thankful that God is always there with you, and that your husband is there, and that you have a beautiful family and you have a very beautiful support group, and thanking God that you're alive every single day, I think, it makes life easier.
Absolutely, thank you. So it actually helps you deal with, problems in life, like to problem solve, and also to deal with, conflicts and whatever life throws at you, to be able to, weather the storm and also, come out on the other side victorious.
Right, exactly. And you're not afraid of, you're not afraid of the unknown, because in life, there's always unknowns. But if you have great faith in God, and you have faith in your husband and your family and your support group and your friends. You know that you're going to get through life, through life victorious in your own way.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. So it means you are also telling us that these attributes also, they help you, it helps your faith in God as well. It helps, to cement your faith in God, which is very important, as well. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Well, Matt, we're going to turn it over to you. Tell us what you think, from a man's perspective. What is it when you say when we say that a virtuous woman, and the Bible is talking about, verse 12, it says she does him good. I mean, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life.
Okay, I think Arlene really said a lot. I'll try not to repeat too much of what she said, but from my perspective, being the husband, there's the word harm, never harm. I was a little surprised to see that in there, but you obviously would think, first thought was physical harm, whether or not anybody a woman would do physical harm to her husband. I don't think that's very common, obviously, and not with Arlene, but that would be the number one. So after I realized, physical harm is not a good thing. A virtuous woman would not tend to do that, but also any other harm in the relationship, maybe emotional harm, not being condescending, and let's see, other ways you could potentially harm somebody emotionally would be a good virtuous woman would not, would avoid doing that, try to be supportive emotionally and in that way, as well as there's other ways of doing harm that I was thinking of were like a financial harm, the way things are in the world today. There's always the latest and greatest thing to buy, and then all the fancy things people could spend money on. And Arlene has been really good about helping us keep that down to a minimal level to avoid, financially harming our future, basically. So that's the way I was kind of interpreting that verbiage there in that end of the sentence. And as far as she does him good, there's many ways that I can see that virtuous woman would be intended to do that. It goes along with not harming someone. So, but as far as doing good, especially I know a lot of families, both couples work full time, but I guess I'm fortunate in our relationship that Arlene is more at this state of more of like a home
Okay.
mom, stay-at-home mom type of situation.
Okay.
So therefore, the part about doing him good, is always, she's really good about helping, making sure we try to eat right and always have plenty of, the right thing, as much as we can, eat healthy. And so that's I think a good way that I interpret that.
Okay. And I think you did mention a few things that I think is pretty big, where, relationship is concerned, when the Bible says that she does him good. And it says, you talked about, let's leave the physical harm, aside. That one is not, it happens, but, not as common as emotional harm. That is, yes, that's pretty big. And I think sometimes when we think about harm, we may not necessarily be thinking about the emotional harm. So it means we can actually do emotional harm, to, our, spouse. So a virtuous woman is going to, she's going to be diligent about her actions and try not to, do, any harm, to her husband. And then you talk about financial harm. That's a big one. Ladies, I know, yes, how we love to shop. Financial harm. Yeah. Could you just elaborate on that, a bit, if you can, please, just elaborate on that financial harm. How can a woman do financial harm to her husband?
Well, certain examples would be, everybody has to buy a new car occasionally throughout their lives. I mean, if you decide as a couple to go purchase a vehicle, I don't think the intent of this scripture would be to go out and try to spend more money than you really could comfortably afford on that car. And same thing with cell phones, TVs, all of that.
Okay.
I think trying to keep within budget and to live a comfortable life financially.
So financial responsibility. So a virtuous woman should be financially responsible. So that's exactly what you're telling us. See, that's why I said it's good to always, hear it from a man's perspective. And not because sometimes we may not be thinking about that as women because, we like nice things, we like to, shop and everything, but we can actually do financial harm, to our spouse, financial damage, which is very important. And then also you talk about, also she tries to keep the family healthy, like eating right, staying healthy, that's another, attribute. So if she does him good, she also looks out for him, in that regard. Like, she has to watch, what the family eats and make sure the family stays healthy. Am I correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And that is, thank you so much. I think, unless if you have anything else, do you have anything else to tell our viewers before, we close our segment today?
That's all I can think of right now.
Okay, so on a nutshell, we have just talked about how to be, a virtuous woman instead of a perfect one. That is Proverbs 31, the virtuous woman. And we're looking at verse 12 today. And we talked about, how to, Arlene, told us, putting family first. For us to be thankful and grateful for what we have, doing good and be kind, to others. And her husband, Matt, he told us about, not doing your spouse, physical harm. He talked about physical harm, financial harm, which Will did not even think about. And that's interesting, that he talked about that, especially for us women, for us to be able to live, within our means, what we can afford, and don't make, the man, buy, maybe what he cannot afford, and then that will cause, some strain in the relationship. I think that is very important and very vital, for us to, to learn from. And then also, to keep the family, healthy as well. So that is also, our responsibility. So yeah, we are also like, the police of our kitchen, and make sure that we, cook, healthy, and we keep the family healthy as well. So thank you, so much for coming, and we hope, you join us again sometime soon in the near future. Thank you for taking the time, to join us. We are indeed very honored to have you speak with us today. And viewers, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And until I see you next time on our next segment, just take care with your family. Thank you.